Here's the answer to day 4, problem 1. Sketch the graph of f of x equals 1 plus the cosine of x. Along the x-axis, we're counting in intervals of pi radians, and the y-axis is counting by ones. We can use a unit circle to help us find values of cosine x without having to use the calculator. Let's start by finding the cosine of 0. The cosine of 0 is the point on the far right of the unit circle, and that point has an x-coordinate of 1. So the cosine of 0 is 1, and then when you add 1, you get 2. So the function turns out to equal 2 when x is 0. So 0, 2 is up there. Now let's find the cosine of pi over 2 radians. Pi over 2 radians is at the top of the unit circle, and the x-coordinate at that position is 0. So the cosine of pi over 2 turns out to be 0. When you add 1 to it, you get 1. And so when x is pi over 2, the function value is 1, and that's located right here. Next, let's find the cosine of pi. The cosine of pi is -1, and -1 plus 1 is 0. So for pi, the answer is 0. Next, let's mark this position right here. This is 3 pi over 2. The cosine of 3 pi over 2 on the unit circle is 0, and 0 plus 1 is 1. So the function value is 1 for 3 pi over 2. And finally, 2 pi, when we look that up and evaluate, we're back up to that spot there. And so we have this period of an infinitely long wave function. And it's going to start to swing down there. Now we can draw the other half of this in the negative portion of the x-axis. First, let's mark this spot and this spot, and then kind of duplicate that pattern that we see there. It's going to swing down to here, and then down to the very bottom, down there at -pi, and then it's going to come back up here, and then right up above -2 pi, it will touch up there. And keep going. So here's our graph of the function. Day 4, problem 2. Find the sum of the first 20 terms of this arithmetic sequence. The common difference between two terms is that it appears to be increasing by 3 each time. It has a constant rate of change. Now, a formula that we can use to find the sum of the terms of an arithmetic sequence is n divided by 2 times the first term plus the last term of the sequence. We want to find the sum of 20 terms. And so let's use that n is 20. The first term is -10, and we want to add the last term. We don't happen to know what the 20th term is, so let's find it. First, let's write a linear equation that describes this sequence of numbers that has the constant rate of change. The rate of change is 3 times n plus or minus any required adjustment. When n is 1, 3 times 1 makes 3, but the first term is -10. So to get from 3 to -10, we'd have to subtract 13. So here's our linear equation that fits that pattern of numbers. We want to find the 20th term, a sub 20. So 3 times 20, subtract 13. 3 times 20 is 60, subtract 13 is 47. So the 20th term in this list of numbers would be 47, which we can now put into the blank spot that we had in the parentheses. So let's go back to finding the sum of 20 terms. 20 divided by 2 is 10. And -10 plus 47 is 37. 10 times 37 is 370. There's our sum.